Hi guys, welcome back to yet another review. This time around I'm bringing you the Letshuoer D02. This is Letshuoer's latest single DD, a budget focused IEM, priced at under $30. And it uses, I guess you could say it's got some design cues from its older brother, the DX1. Obviously not the same level of overall construction in terms of the shell and the driver used and everything, but it's also got that same 11mm, it's also using a 11mm driver. It's using the same design style of the shell, which is this kind of larger bullet style of shell. This is not the stock cable. The stock cable is this one, yeah. Okay. Oh well, actually in terms of the box, it's a very simple box, really nothing, nothing special. It is after all budget, so we don't want to spend money in things which are not going to be of interest to us. Where we want to spend money is on the actual IM. It's available in two colors. This really nice, I don't know what this color is called, pink, magenta, I don't know what this is, and cyan, kind of a bluish color. This is not the stock cable, obviously, as you can see. It brings a case that we've already seen used by Letshuoer quite a few times. This puck style in a kind of plastic, ABS plastic. The tips are the tips that we usually see associated with Letshuoer IEMs, and they work fine. That's why I'm actually using them, so I didn't even swap out the tips. As for the fit, the fit with this type of IEMs is always a subjective thing. It very much depends on your ear anatomy and how your ears are, whether they will fit properly or not. In my particular case, with a little bit of wiggling and so on and so forth, I get them to sit in the position which is the right one. Yes, smaller tips would have helped in introduce the IM a little bit deeper into my ear canal, but they also loosen up quicker. So I ended up using the large size, which create the perfect seal, although the position they have to sit in is not the ideal. I guess a lot of that is down to, if you can see carefully here, the angle that the nozzle has with relation to the body is not the most, at least in my case, with my weird ass ears, it's not exactly the ideal. As for the shell, it's a kind of a plastic and metal aluminum type combination. It's got that 11mm driver. I'm assuming it's just a normal PET driver, no fancy diaphragms being used here. And yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. So it actually brings a decent case. It brings some nice tips. The cable, okay, I guess it's fine for the price. And the construction, or the overall construction, is a pretty high quality one. The only real issue here with is with the shape of the IM, which has got these it's got this unusual ergonomics. Let's put it that way. So. Focus. There we go. So what is the sound like? And that's what we basically want to know. What does the D02 sound like? Well, the D02, the moment I heard it, it reminded me of two other IMs which I have here, which is the Tension, the Zero, and the HD Sound heart mirror, either the Zero or the original heart mirror. I believe, the original heart mirror is no longer available, but the Zero is basically it's basically the heart mirror in a shell which isn't chrome plated. It's a normal colored shell, as you can see, but it's in essence everything else is exactly the same. In terms of price, I believe the Heart Mirror Zero is still available at Letshuoer, if I'm not mistaken, and it's about the same value as this, about $30 give or take. As for the Tension, the Zero, it's under $20, I think $15. Obviously the Tension doesn't have the detachable cable. It also has this kind of weird, this more conventional or bullet style, although it's significantly smaller, so it does allow for a deeper fit. But still, bullet style shaped IEMs are always an issue which might not fit perfectly everybody. In terms of the size, yes, it's very small, so it kind of disappears inside your ear. Not a detachable cable, and that's it. That's basically it. But in terms of sound, which is what I was alluding to, the sound is very similar. And what is the sound? The sound is a sound which is a bright sound. It's a sound that's focused on the mids, so vocals are the start of the show, with then kind of the bass coming in to just complement things. So you could kind of almost say this is like a type of a diffuse style of tuning. And these three have that diffuse style of tuning with slight little nuances. The nuances are in these two So in the tantrum and in the heart mirror, we have a little bit of a bump in the mid bass, just to complement and give it a little bit more fullness. While on the D02, it's a more gliding style of a presentation. Again, I mean, each one has its merits, each one has its strengths, its weaknesses. Although, of course, at the end of the day, they are similar in terms of their sound, and that's why they are here. I'm just trying to get something here to show you. There, no, my apologies, guys. There, and where's? Oh, there we go. I knew I had it here somewhere. All right. Talking in more detail now with regards to the D02. Like I said, it's got that gliding style of bass, which when you compare with the other two, might give you the perception, well, will give you the perception that there's a certain amount of lightness to the sound as compared to the other two. And yes, there's no denying it, there is a little bit of a lightness in the sound in terms of the bass slam with regards to the other two, especially with regards to the heart mirror, not so much with the tantrum. But then that lightness in the sound is obviously compensated with an openness and a clarity in terms of the vocals, which is really something else. If you are a fan of clean vocals and in this segment of the market, usually we don't find IEMs with this level of clarity. It's an IEM that I definitely will say is worth considering. And when you take into consideration, obviously, the price, you can't go wrong if you know exactly what you like. If you are adverse to that more bass heavy, more bass focused signatures, then any one of these three will be the ideal. The D02 probably will be the best embodiment of that style. I mean, that's exactly the reason why models, if you guys remember, the tin hi-fi, the T2 and the heart mirror were popular back in the day, because these are IEMs that are going back to the time of the BL03. So those that didn't like the BL03's slam in terms of mid bass opted for the T02 or the heart mirror, which were significantly more elegant, more mature in terms of their vocal presentation. And that's exactly what we have here in the D02. We have an IEM which is an IEM capable of a very focused and a very detailed presentation in terms of vocals, mids, female vocals, male vocals. I would say female vocals probably the better one. Instruments, everything. It's a very clean, very detailed sound. Although, like I mentioned, it can at times be a little bit sterile. But look, it is what it is. It was tuned to be this way. So if you are looking for warmth, no, this is not for it. These are the same way there are people that are adverse to the higher frequency tuned IEMs, which have got a lot of detail up top, which are more clinical, more cold. There are people which are adverse to the bass head IEM style of tuning, and this is not that. This is, like I said, a more clinical, more detail orientated type of presentation. So bass, clean, detailed, it resolves well. I think the amount of bass that you will ultimately be able to get out of them will be dependent, which is the case usually with this type of shell, on how deep you are able to insert the IEM. So if you are able to insert it deeper, and I noticed that when I was able to just ram it in my ear canal just a little bit deeper, and while it maintained itself there before it came loose, yes, the balance of sound was more satisfying and was more gratifying towards my preferences. So the bass will definitely be dependent on how deep you fit the IEM. Case in point, take etymotics as well, the same situation. If you deep fit them, they will have decent bass. If you don't deep fit them, or if there's any sort of a break in the seal, that's it, bass is gone. So bass, not an issue. Mids, there is a relatively high pinna gain. We are talking about a pinna gain which is, my apologies, which is about 11 dBs, peaking at about 2.5K, and then it drops down immediately, which, yes, it is a little bit significant, I'm not going to deny it, but this isn't a high volume set. This isn't a volume, or rather, this isn't a set that I would particularly say you will be listening to it at very high levels, because the amount of loudness that it can generate with relatively little power and at low volumes is such that you definitely won't be cranking it up. At least I don't think you will. Or if you are a detail orientated person, if you are a person that likes and focuses on the more vocal centric type of stuff, and that likes Like, by the way, it is my understanding, with no disrespect intended, obviously, but I understand that the Japanese market and a lot of other Asian countries very much focus on that type of presentation, which is very instrumental based, very vocal based. This will definitely be in its element in that department. This is not, and no disrespect intended again to KZ. This is not a KZ saga or anything of the sort. This is about being super detailed, super clinical, super, I would say, um, yeah, super detailed is the best word. Honestly, it's really the best word. In terms then of extension up top, plenty of extension up top, past 10k, nice sensation of atmosphere. I would even say that this IM would probably be very good at gaming. If you are gaming orientated, the amount of detail that this IM is capable of creating or generating or extracting out of a track or of a game passage is such that I would say it would definitely be very good for that, except for games that do require maybe a little bit extra bass for the more ideal positioning of things. But other than that, I think it will be fantastic in that department. So sonically clean, neutral, bright presentation, very clinical, very detailed orientated, does well with genres which are more musical and instrumental. I would say that in terms of the technicalities, soundstage and imaging, definitely the best. The timbre and tonality, in my particular taste, perhaps a little bit colder than I would like, because of that, let's say, very laid back nature of the bass, and that's basically it, guys. There's really not much more that I can say. Like I said, if you are a fan of the Tanstrom Zero or a fan of the Heart Mirror Zero, the HD sound, this is definitely an IM in those realms. I would say compared to the Tanstrom, more detailed than the Tanstrom a little bit, although the Tanstrom does have a smidge a little bit more mid bass. But very similar to the Tanstrom. They both suffer from the same problem, which is the fit, as compared to the Heart Mirror. The Heart Mirror has got a more conventional sized shell, so fitment was not going to be an issue, and I think that to a great extent is the reason why the bass here, although also equally lean, is a little bit fuller than it is on the D02. All right. Anyway, guys, let me just quickly show you the graphs and we'll wrap it up. Okay, guys, so let's talk now here the graphs for the Letshuoer D02. Okay, that's the graph for the 02. Channel balance between left and right is excellent. They are exactly the same. I actually have another set of D02s on the way to confirm this. But as for my particular set, perfect. As you can see, the gliding style of bass, the gain in the bass is roughly 5 dBs, and then there's about 11 dB gain for the Pina gain, peaks at about 2.5 and then drops off straight away, as you can see. I would say this is me now, okay, particularly if this peak had been just a little bit lower, I think it would have created a better balance with regards to the lower frequencies at the mids and the highs, without still losing inevitably the focus of this tuning, which is to be very mid-centric. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be loads of people that like the way it sounds, and honestly, I didn't dislike the sound. I like the sound of the D02. It's very detailed sound. It's just I personally prefer a certain genre of music that requires there to be a little bit more meat in the lower frequencies. And the way that the IM was obviously tuned is that's not the focus. I mean, there has to be IMs for everybody and for every taste. Otherwise, as you can see, very diffuse style in its overall style, tune. This next graph that I'm showing you is the Tanstrom the Zero. Very similar, very similar. The Tanstrom is not more detailed in this part of the spectrum, in the upper mids and treble, than the Letshuoer. No way, it definitely isn't. Smidge little extra mid bass, but not much of a difference. Overall, the sound is very similar. And finally, the veteran HD sound Heart Mirror, or Heart Mirror Zero, as you want to call it. Again, the same sort of emphasis on the upper frequencies, loads of extension. That was one of the things that the HD sound was known for. And then yes, it's got a noticeable noticeable difference in terms of the mid bass. Very noticeable. It's you pick up on it straight away, and it's interesting because it has got then that balance that, at least for my music genre, does satisfy me a little bit more. And that's it, guys. There's really not much more than I can say. Have a look at it if you are in the market, or if you're wanting an IM which is detail orientated. Definitely, this is a solid choice. This also gave me some vibes of the original 7Hz Zero and the original 7Hz Zero, I think, was the one that actually reminded me the most. Look, I think the idea here and the design premise was to give IMs that were very focused on being detailed and very high-end sounding, but at a budget value. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask me. Take care now. Bye-bye.